are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. So I'm confused. I know it seems like I get confused a lot, and maybe it's because the media peddles a lot of BS, and I don't understand sometimes what the hell is going on because logic does not seem to be at the forefront of what's been going on. But there has been a very, very interesting sentiment in medicine where doctors are avoiding at all costs practicing in a, quote, deep red state. And I'm like, excuse me? Really? Really? There was an article last year saying more medical residents are avoiding states. Actually, this was this year. More medical residents are avoiding states with abortion restriction. Now, if you are a neurologist not performing abortions, are you really avoiding practicing in those states? If you are an OB-GYN who doesn't perform abortions, but may have to perform a procedure to save the life of the patient, and most of these states, the laws protect that, are they the ones that aren't going to those states? There's a doctor had written on my Facebook yesterday that as it pertained to, I had talked about Biden and how it's not that the media and politicians just now recognize that Biden is having issues. It was the suppression that finally somebody gave the thumbs up saying, okay, you could talk about it. And his response was, which a lot of people do, they start bringing up Trump. And that's not the best defense of Biden. I mean, I know people don't like Trump out there, but you're going to have to come up with a better defense as it pertains to Biden than always bringing up another human being. You have to, I mean, if Biden's having issues, that's the issue on the table. You could bring up Trump, you could bring up Rubio, you could bring up Tim Scott. That's not really helping your defense. But then he says, I will never practice I'm so glad I don't practice medicine in a deep red state. And I responded, because I'm licensed in multiple states. I'm licensed in Wisconsin, in Washington, in Iowa, in Colorado, in Arizona, in Mississippi, in Alabama, Minnesota, North Dakota. I mean, multiple states. And so my response was, my Mississippi and Alabama patients are really, really cool. They're amazing human beings, and they kind of need health care in Mississippi and Alabama. And I wish more doctors would put patients over politics. And I don't even think this doctor performs OB-GYN or abortions. But there's this sentiment among the liberals of, I will never be in a deep red state. I won't practice medicine in a deep red state. Okay, you might want to relook at your oath. Yeah, if you are a medical professional vowing to not be in a part of the country that is screaming for health representation and underserved individuals, then you're only going to pick the rich California zip codes to practice in? Are you, what's going on here? We take a pledge to help serve our community. Underserved, overserved, Republican, Democrat. We're American doctors. When we're licensed by the USMLE, the United States Medical Licensing Examination and Board, it's not about, I like this zip code. I like this weather. If you're needed, that's where you work. If I really love my Alabama, Mississippi patients. And when you hear people say they're going to avoid states, now I get if you're an abortion doctor, if you have trained to perform abortions and you are going to a state where they are limiting those, except for rape, incest, and the life of the mother, I understand how you might not have a market there. And I understand how some OBs might feel that obstetricians might not feel that the state laws protect them, that there might be too much confusion by prosecution if they protect a woman's life or if it's inferred that it wasn't life. It really shouldn't be that confusing. Most of the abortions that are happening are not rape, are not incest, are not, for the life of the mom, or it was an unwanted pregnancy. And I think those are very easy to document and to explain and to differentiate, for those. But, there are some doctors that are concerned that if they do try to protect a mother's kidneys, or she needs to start cancer treatment because she has an aggressive cancer, and because that could hurt the baby, an abortion would allow her to start the treatment as opposed to putting her on teratogenic drugs that could cause severe fetal defects. Okay, well, these are things that I have said time and time again are not supposed to be under the politician's purview. This should be medical. This is the medical board. These are doctors and patients. There should be no federal government involvement, no states involved, no taxpayers. This is between a person and their doctor. But it's gotten to this point where you're hearing medical professionals say, well, I don't want to practice in a deep red state. What the hell is a deep red state? I thought we're all American. This whole red-blue state drives me flipping crazy. 1-877-DOC-Daliah.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our Fantasy Football Pocket Guide for Beginners found on Amazon, or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. And big thanks to Daniel, our producer. So if you saw the White House press briefing yesterday, still, we don't see Biden, but Karine Jean-Pierre was there. And she's got a tough job. I think she does her job well in terms of protecting the president, but the press pool wasn't having it. And I kind of feel bad for her because I understand her position. I know Jen Psaki walked away from it because she was probably like, there's no way I could defend this. Karine Jean-Pierre, kept her cool, but people wanted answers. And one of the reasons why they wanted answers is there has been a report that a Parkinson's specialist, a Parkinson's disease specialist, so a neurologist who recently published a paper on Parkinson's, Dr. Kevin Kennard, allegedly visited the White House 8 times in 8 months from last summer through this spring. Now, this is according to official visitor logs, which are public. Now, I think he works at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. He came to the White House. Nobody can confirm if it was Biden who he saw. One of the visits was a meeting, I believe, with President Biden's physician, but it does not necessarily attest to those were medical exams being done. And the logs released by the White House document visits from July 2023 through March of this year. More recent visits would not be released until later under the White House's voluntary disclosure policy. And so people were obviously concerned, especially the press corps. Again, it baffles me that these questions weren't brought up years ago. But as I said, only now somebody gave the thumbs up for CNN and MSNBC and everybody to start talking about it. So now you're getting the questions. And that hurt them because they could have maybe addressed this before the 2020 election or could have addressed it early on. And now they're scrambling before the Democratic primary. But the Dr. Kennard, who is, supporting the White House medical unit, is a neurology consult to the White House medical unit and the physician to the president. So whenever the White House physician needs, a neurology consult, he is one of the go-tos. So that does not necessarily imply that he, is seeing the president or that the president has flailing health. I think we have enough evidence of that. But press corps wanted to know what this meant. And it wasn't conservative. These were also liberal media asking for some clarification. And the reason why is the White House said that Biden had met with the neurologist 3 times in his past 3 years. Whenever you see Dr. O'Connor's medical report of the president, you see it say that he had a neurological exam. And, as a physician, I don't think we need to nitpick, did the neurologist see Karine Jean-Pierre started pivoting to this is a privacy issue. If he was there for other members, they deserve privacy. And the press corps is like, or she goes, I can't release a name of who came to the White House. They go, but it's a log. So that was a little bit of a mess up. And you saw the pressure she was under because it is obvious that there has been a cover up. And I don't like the term cover up because it's used so ubiquitously for everything, but when you're talking about the health of a human being, there should never be a cover up. That's malpractice. That's negligence. And where I get a little nervous, I'm a physician and being on, I know. Yeah. And I did pretty good in medical school. Okay. And my patients seem to like me, but as a physician, I feel I have a duty, not only to patients, but also to the medical community. My behavior reflects on other doctors. And non-doctors watch doctors' behavior to learn. So when there's a medical event on a plane and people are panicking, but I'm calm, I'm assuring everybody, I'm helping the patient, I'm even making jokes with the patient, and I'm putting everybody at ease. It's amazing how much people look at that to determine the temperature or the climate. Climate changes, right? Climate. That's climate always. That's the word. Okay, that's why I don't like climate change. That's redundant. Climate is climate. Changes all the time. So they want to see the climate of the situation based on how the doctor is reacting. If the doctor's freaking out, okay. Well, people are now looking at, okay, well, what's going on with Biden? And the question could be very easily resolved by the medical team just doing their job. Now, according to the White House, the medical team did their job. They examined him because they're pivoting to the medical team. They go, don't say that, he's not functional or that he's lacking or he's struggling with his health, because the medical team says he's good. Dr. O'Connor says he's fit for duty. And every time we get the White House physical results, I review them with you. But they are starkly missing the cognitive aspect of his exam. Now, even though the United States Preventative Service Task Force does not recommend every single person get screened cognitively, especially over a certain age, it is recommended by all medical agents, academies, as well as the National Institutes of Health. Even the U.S. government even recommends that if anybody has concern, their family members, people around them, friends, that a cognitive evaluation would be warranted because they might not see it themselves, but other people do. And so the question that I feel heavy on my shoulders and have been asked directly is, why are his physicians not following standard of care? Why is President Biden an exception to the rule for doing cognitive testing and ensuring that he isn't going to be suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's or at higher risk if they don't believe he has it now? Because cognitive impairment turns into health impairment. People ask, how does an Alzheimer's person die? Well, if the brain function starts to deteriorate, it could cause multi-organ involvement. But oftentimes they don't feed themselves. They don't take care of themselves. They may run out into the middle of the street like a kid. And so if cognitive impairment could put them at risk for injuries, could put them at risk for health issues, then of course we're going to look. He had, I guess, a history of aneurysm. He had a history of atrial fibrillation. A concern I have is multi-infarct or ischemic disease of the brain or other issues that could involve the vessels of the brain. Why isn't he having routine MRIs or MRAs, angiograms of the brain through MRI technology? Not that hard to do. No radiation. And so what seems to continually be missing is the MRI or the brain testing. And so if he did see a neurologist only 3 times, and not this other neurologist that allegedly has gone to the White House, and he could have gone to the White House for other meetings, okay? Many neurologists will order an MRI of the brain at the first sight of anything that could be possibly affecting somebody's memory, his gait, and so when they say he's neurologically clear, that implies an MRI of the brain was done, but we never see those results. And I get, as a human being, you do want privacy. But when you are commander in chief and you are showing signs of issues, then if we thought somebody had severe CTE, would we want them with the football? And I'm not talking NFL football, I'm talking about nuclear football. So that's where the question is. I can't explain how somebody is neurologically cleared without an MRI. 1-877 Dr. Daliah. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. Dollar bills, people. I want you to check your dollar bills. Fascinatingly, I found out that if our dollar bills are some of the misprinted dollar bills, yes, the Treasury makes some mistakes, that these could be worth thousands of dollars. Now, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. Many dollar bills are in circulation, especially with the strippers. But this is a great excuse, to tell your partner to not go to the strip club and to hold on to some of these. Because if there's a misprint, these things can be worth a lot of money. Once you, examine them, then you could go ahead and use them. Which, by the way, I don't even know if we're allowed to do dollar bills anymore when you go to the strip club. I think they want 5s or 10s or 20s now at that point. All right, so what happened? Okay, so we're being told that a couple years back or during 2 separate years, there was a misprint. And there's a few different things that could be wrong with billions of dollars out there in circulation. So let me give credit where credit is due. So LA4, NBC4, says that your dollar bill could be worth up to 150 grand. Why? According to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, a total of 6.4 million banknotes were printed with the error. There's an error. And this happened in 2014 and 2016. Now, there was a batch issued by the Federal Bank in New York, one issued in Washington, D.C., but now these dollars could be anywhere in the world because of, we travel and we use the dollars, and that was over 10 years ago. So according to Wealthy Nickel, what to look for is the series date on the far right. All right, the series date on the far right of the photograph of George Washington must read Series 2013. The bill has a B, Federal Reserve seal. Now, this isn't it. This is a normal dollar. I've already checked all my dollars. Not that people tip me with these. These are just dollar bills I have. I don't have, that my job is radio and medicine. So, yeah. I don't get a lot. And you know what? Even if my job wasn't, I doubt I'd be making a lot of money. I don't know if you guys have seen me dance. I don't dance well. So, 1, Series 2013 you need to look for. Number 2 is the bill has a B as in Bill, Federal Reserve seal above the serial number located to the right of Washington's photo. All right, so I guess there would be a B somewhere here. Then the serial number ends with a star. Here's your serial number. And the serial number would fall between, write this down, B00000001. Okay, so that's 7 zeros, to B00250000. So that's looking at 250,000 numbers. Or BO, and we're not talking, or I should say B0. Sorry, we don't want to talk about BO. We'll talk about body odor later. Otherwise, the Lumi commercial will come on. B032000001 or B0960000. If your bill has these characteristics, that doesn't mean you get the money. Doesn't mean it's payday. It means you need to find the other one, the matching pair with the same serial number. If you find those pairs and you let the Treasury know you're supposed to be getting some big dough. How many pairs have been found? Only 9. Millions are still in circulation. They say the matching pair could reach between 20 grand and 150,000 depending on the condition. This is an okay condition, but you see this one got a little bent. Okay, so treat your dollar bills nice. According to the National Numismatic Association, according to, again, LA4, a congressionally chartered nonprofit dedicated to the study of the collection of bills and coins, currency misprints are very rare. Hence, they're extremely valuable among collectors. Now, another thing I was told is another misprint that may make your dollar bill very expensive is if the 2 serial numbers, okay, sorry, see the 2 serial numbers here? Okay, the 2 serial numbers are green, if they mismatch. Apparently, there are some in circulation where these mismatch. Another misprint I heard is where instead of green, they're black. That shouldn't be happening. And so, if you see a star, and now, you know, I wonder why this, you almost wonder if they purposely like to mark these for some studies. And so it's interesting how they want the stars. And then they want, I mean, is this an experiment on, a lot of us are on Tinder, right? Now if you have one of these dollar bills, and if you want, you could just repeat the video or repeat the podcast or the live show, if you could repeat the live show on what I said. But if you're able to find your mate, your match, I think that's easy to do. See, not a lot of people have been talking about this, but my son reminded me because they were talking about it at work, and I was like, oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I'll tell people. If you find your dollar mate, then you got to figure out how you're going to split the dough. But see, this is something that I'm thinking. I was talking to my son about this. If you do have a misprint, is it really only worth that? I mean, maybe it's going to be worth more. I don't know if I would be so quick to give it up. You know, the mistake we made when we were younger, a lot of us did, is we threw out our old toys. We threw out a bunch of our stuff, our old videos, and now we're hearing that stuff could be worth money. Collectors. So now I've been collecting stuff, but a lot of it is, kind of worthless. Like I got this thing. You know what this is? It's a tape dispenser, but it's like an 8-ball. I don't know. This might be worth something, so I don't want to get rid of it. I don't. So I'm just holding on to everything these days. This is a very popular snack, the Welch's fruit snack. I'm thinking about holding on to these just because somebody's like, well, what was the snack in the 2020s? Well, the 2020s was the Welch's fruit snack. And you see, I have a wrapper. And somebody will pay. Look, something is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. So when you have the federal government saying, look, these mismatch, these misprinted dollars are worth something. So I would look for the star, look for the B and those numbers that I told you. Look for if the serial numbers don't match. If you also see, another thing that I've heard is sometimes the ink didn't go. And there are dollar bills that are missing partial ink. Now, I remember meeting somebody who said, oh, man, I had this I had this bill that they didn't even print it correctly. And so I lost that money because, no. Hold on to that sucker. A misprinted dollar bill could be worth money. There are money collectors out there. You know, one thing my parents did, which was really cool, is they saved old coins, like from the 40s, from the 20s. I don't know if we still have them, but that was something that they saved because they threw out a lot of stuff. And they get, like I said, my grandfather had the 1950s Playboys, and I remember my mom going, "Look at this! This is ridiculous," and throwing them out. And I was a young kid going, "Really? Grandpa liked boobies." You know how much those could have been worth now. So, but anyway, these, I'm telling you right now, anything that doesn't look right with your money, that doesn't look like it's printed correctly or whatever, just save the sucker. And then don't necessarily advertise it too. If you, let's say, need to find because that's the other thing that sucks about this is you have to find the pair. There's matching pairs to these. And I don't know if this is some game or some Hunger Games. I don't know if somebody's orchestrated this. Maybe they're trying to distract us because of everything going on with Biden. I don't know. But, be very, very careful about trying to find your dollar mate because, somebody could very easily Photoshop or AI and say, "Oh, I have it. Why don't you meet me? And let's get our $2 bills together." Ooh, sexy. Now let's meet. No, please be very careful. Okay, if you guys do find it, I would contact, and you find your mate, contact the Treasury. Maybe they'll chip in for a trip to D.C. for you to come back and get them. But anyway, just check your dollar bills. Now I like dollar bills. 1-877-DOLLAR. Don't go away.
Considered by most, optimized curcumin is one of the few bioavailable and highly absorbable curcumin products on the market. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch. Since most chronic diseases have inflammation, our optimized curcumin seems to be a perfect addition to any nutritional program. It makes sense to me that preventing or reducing inflammation is a key component to our overall health. The Mayo Clinic found that curcumin can decrease swelling and inflammation, has antioxidant properties, and research suggests that curcumin can prevent cancer, or at least slow the spread of cancer, and in many instances make chemotherapy more effective. It protects our healthy cells even from radiation. TotalWellness.com, where we help you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Okay, so I gotta just say something here. We've spoken about this before on the show. Be very, very careful using the terms red state, blue state. Now they've had these terms deep red states. Now they're adding some depth to it, like scuba diving depth. Okay. And you guys are falling into a trap. It's a trap. And I don't understand how even educated people are falling for this. This idea of a red state and a blue state, which, by the way, the colors flipped. For those of you who were around during the Reagan election, I think Reagan Mondale, I remember on the news, the states that went for Reagan were blue. Mondale had just a little splatter of red because the colors switched. I talked about this on air. I need to double check what year did that happen where all of a sudden the red and blue switched. Okay, in terms of the colors. And they were just color coded for media purposes. We're going to assign one color to one to another. And then they decided, well, why don't we now, rather than the Reagan being blue, let's make Republican red and Democrat blue. And they changed it. And so when you hear people say, you know, California is a blue state, many of us remember the blue from Reagan. So it's on a whim that the colors change. Now they're sticking for a little bit. But when I keep hearing people say you got blue state, red state, and then people ask, well, what's Nevada? And then somebody says it's purple. What the? Purple? What? Well, we're not a purple state. Well, purple denotes you got both red and blue. This is so stupid, people. This is so stupid. It's so stupid. And I was born in California, have a lot of friends and family in California. I'm telling you right now, people are mixed. In California, not every single person is Democrat. And not every single person is the same type of Democrat. Some are moderate, some are liberal, some are more progressive, some are ultra. So are you going to have various shades of blue? Same thing with Texas. You have a lot of Democrats in Texas. And the reason why they do this, the powers that be, is they want us to secede. If you're a blue state, to leave, be your own, like California, or us to secede if we're red. They want people to say, well, I'm not going to live in a blue state, so I'm out of here. Or I'm not going to live in a red state, I'm out of here. And then they add additional deep red. They're adding or deep blue. New York, a beautiful state. California is a beautiful state. No one political party owns it. They might be holding power temporarily. But if you are a state in the United States of America, your job is to represent Democrats and Republicans and Green Party and independents and non-citizens that are visiting or on visas. Your job is to protect the Chinese national, the Afghani national, the national from Uruguay, people visiting, the tourists that are coming to Disneyland or in Florida, Disney World. And so when you have a state, and right now the powers that be are like, well, it's going to be easy. You know, if we get New York and California, or if we get Texas and Florida, and we get then, you know, everybody else just move out. That's fine. That's not America. But in terms of the trap, there was a doctor the other day that posted on one of my things, on one of my, I had been talking about Biden and the, and how, you know, it's not that everybody's dumb. And they were like, really? He has issues? It just, somebody finally gave the okay for them to talk about it and how suppression does not help democracy. And his response was, I am so glad I don't, he goes off about Trump and he says, I'm so glad I don't practice medicine in a deep red state. Don't fall for that trap. All right. Physicians, especially, can get into a lot of trouble for starting to discriminate against, we don't discriminate. Now, let's say Alabama and Mississippi are considered deep red states. You have a very large black population. And when you say, yeah, I'm not saying this particular, but when people start to say, I'm not practicing there, I'm so glad I don't practice there. And okay, it could be taken the wrong way. You're going to fall into a trap. Okay. When you are a part of a profession where you are not supposed to discriminate, And you are not supposed to pick and choose and cherry pick patients. And you're not supposed to judge. You better be very careful about all this political rhetoric. Remember, there was that doctor, I forget if it was Tennessee or Mississippi or Alabama, and he had put a sign up saying, I'm not going to take care of you if you're unvaccinated for COVID. Well, many individuals who decided to not go with the vaccine, they want to hold off, didn't trust it yet, were many of the black communities. So basically, he, in essence, was taking care of the white patients and not the black patients. And there was a lot of, I don't know if he had to take it down, but there was this big news story about that. And, if I'm a physician and you forget to use a condom and you have an STI, an STD, I'm going to take care of you. If you smoked for 20, 30 years, I'm going to take care of you. If you voted for Trump or you voted for Biden, I'm going to take care of you. If you're visiting this country, if you're here illegally, if you're a human being, I'm going to take care of you. We don't judge. We don't discriminate. Now, I understand there's a lot of this focus on abortion laws, and where they're saying people are going to die and doctors are going to be shackled and thrown in jail, and the mess that preceded Roe v. Wade is still continuing post Roe v. Wade overturn, where states, which is why I keep saying government needs to be out of it, keep the feds out of it, keep the politicians out of it, keep the taxpayers out of it. Just leave it between a person and their doctor. But while people are saying, well, if they do an abortion and it's not for the life of the mom, and it's deemed that it was more for birth control, and so that's where this conversation started, because they've been trying to get doctors, to not necessarily be, a part of this. I guess they wanted to. Doctors haven't been very political. Slowly they are. They're getting more political, but doctors can't agree. They couldn't agree on the mandate of the vaccine. They couldn't agree on if there were side effects to the vaccine or not, which I don't understand, because we do informed consent. Everything has side effects. They couldn't agree on how good a paper mask could be. But be very careful, because if you're in a profession where you're not allowed to discriminate and bias, this red, blue, we're all Americans. And every state should be representing us. 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.